What's up, guys? Today we're going to share with you the ultimate 2023 texting guide. We're going to break down the 12 item rules of texting that you need to follow in order to succeed in the modern dating marketplace. Alright, so this video is intended to be the ultimate texting guide. If you could only watch one texting video, this should be the one. And I broke down 12 of the most important texting rules that you need to follow. Some of these are maybe counterintuitive to what you've heard in the manosphere, but trust me, this is the kind of stuff you need to have expert level texting. Make sure you guys watch until the very end because you don't want to miss any one of these. Let's start off with the first one. Keep your opener short and sweet. So a lot of guys are trying to do fancy openers, pickup lines, all of that stuff. It doesn't really work, right? So take a look at this example. This guy's like, I don't have much time, so just listen. I'm from the future. In the future, the sex machines have taken over. They send their Terminator back in time to orgasm you to death. Come with me if you want to live. Now, it's kind of funny, right? But it's kind of more like guy humor. But again, it's a cheesy pickup line. Girls get these 20 million times a day, right? So this is not the kind of opener you want to send because it shows that you're really just overly invested in the girl. Instead, you want to send an opener that's short and sweet. Like this. Hey, I like your style, right? And you can see it's much better. Hi, thanks. I like yours as well. So you can see that gets the conversation going. We have a whole video that's literally dedicated to testing the most effective openers out there, so you guys can check that out if you want to see more information on openers. But again, keep your opener short and sweet. The most effective type of opener is a unique observation based on one of her photos. That's 1 or 2 sentences. But the second best is to use one of the try and tested copy and paste short openers. Let's move on to the next one. Have a purpose. So the vast majority of guys who are texting women have no purpose. They're just texting, and eventually the girl gets bored. It's like, okay, well, nothing is happening, right? And your purpose, typically 99% of the time, should be to get a date with favorable logistics. Right now, sometimes your purpose could be to make sure she's not a catfish if you're not sure, but typically your purpose is to move things forward, and that's something you have to always keep in mind. So let's take a look at this example, right? And this really just shows you what a game with purpose looks like. So I opened this girl, are you in Prague? This is when I was visiting Europe. Hey, yes, I am. How about you? Cool, just flew in today. Well, that is good. How long will you stay? Depends how work goes. No plane ticket back yet. I'm going on Thursday for a few days. No worries. We'll just have to meet before then. So again, I'm already going for the meetup. Now, because the girl's investing a good amount. If she was giving me one-word answers, I might build it up a little bit more. But again, you want to basically go for the date, relatively fast. You don't want to wait too long. She says, we will, and to make it even more complicated, sorry for that, I already have plans tomorrow and Tuesday. So basically what she's saying, well, we have to hang out tonight. I say, do you like wine? I do. Good, come join me for a glass tonight. Bam, second screenshot, I'm already setting up a wine date straight to the house. She's like, I will. Tell me where and when. You should also send me your pic because the one you have here looks really good. So here she gives me her WhatsApp. I sent her some photos. Again, keeping things very straight to the point. Hi, you do look good. Thanks for part of town you're in. So here's just logistics. Come have a drink with me on my super romantic patio. So eight sounds good. So here we just have more logistics. And here I just sent her a photo that we took when she was on my bed after we had sex because she asked me to when we were hanging out. But yeah, you can see that. And she says, and this really wasn't the most pleasant Tinder experience for me, that you want to be short and direct because, right, if there's two guys talking to a girl, one of them is beating around the bush and taking forever, and the other guy's just being short and direct, she's going to meet up with the guy who's short and direct, and then she's going to forget about the guy that's taking forever to close. So again, you want to move things forward in a relatively fast manner. The third rule kind of ties into the second one, but I feel like it's important to mention because it has a different side to it. Keep it as simple as possible and only add complexity if necessary, right? So in addition to moving things forward, you want to also keep your texting as simple as possible. Now you will see they have some interactions which are very complex, right? Where there's multiple takeaways, re-engaging, there's 40, 50 screenshots. However, right, that is not my first default. That is only because, I wasn't able to keep the conversation as simple as possible, and then I had to add complexity in order to get the date. However, my first instinct is to always be as simple as possible. There's a reason why Google is the most popular search engine and won the search engine wars because they were the simplest search engine. So let's take a look at this example. I think this one really drives the point home. This girl opens me, hey, what are you up to? I say, finishing some work. How about you? Work on Sunday, that sucks. Trying to figure out how to make the weekend last longer. So when the girl says that, that's womanese for, I want to have sex. I say, perhaps you could be my distraction then. That sounds fun. I say, what are you looking for on here? This is a text I used to use a lot back in the day. I don't so much anymore, but you can still use it. It's still pretty good. Meet new people and have fun. How about you? So that's basically as direct as you're going to get most girls to be. And that means, again, have casual sex. I say, yeah, same kinky sex and cuddles. Kinky how? spanking, hair pulling, leaving marks, especially on your ass. Sounds hot. I've got bruises down my legs from blah, blah, blah last week. I think she says spelunking or some kind of work-related activity. I say, cool, why don't you come over? Again, being very direct, she say, okay, what time? Say 7:30, that works. I went to shower real quick. Say it's 5 miles, hope it's not too long. I'm perfect, text me, I'll shoot you over my address, and then here I give her my phone number, and she gives me her phone number. So I text her, hi cutie, hey Alex. And here I make a mistake. I add unnecessary complexity to the situation. I say shower pics are encouraged. Again, like if I had no idea what she looked like, that would be fine, right? But she had a lot of really clear body photos in the profile, and this is me trying to add unnecessary complexity. Now, fortunately, it still works out, but I want to really drive this point home that you want to keep things as simple as possible. I don't text pictures to strangers. I say KKK, and then what does the GPS say? Leaving now should be in about 20 minutes. So here we just have more logistics talk, just trying to find parking. There's none on my street. I found now, I'm just trying to figure out where I want to go. So here we're just more logistics. And then typically what I do after I hook up with a girl, I send her that was fun or that was fire text, and she responds with, I got tested recently, I'm clean, how about you? That's a pretty good way to re-engage the conversation. But again, you can see that you want to keep things always as simple as possible, right? I keep driving this point home. Okay, iron rule number 4 is be persistent without coming off as needy. Nowadays, when you're talking to girls, they're getting hit up by a lot of guys, right? So that's why you have to be persistent, but at the same time, you can't be needy because it's gonna be an instant turnoff. And typically what determines the difference between persistent and needy is 1, the tone of your text, and 2, how long you wait before you send the double text. So if you send a double text a few days later, that comes off as more persistent. However, if you send the double text 10 minutes later, that same exact text could come off more as needy, right? So it's an important thing to keep in mind. I always wait at least 24 to 48 hours before double texting, and something like 4 to 7 days before triple texting. So you really want to be patient, right? But again, you want to be persistent, especially the hotter girls. They're getting hit up to death. And I've noticed that with the hotter girls on Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, I have to be really, really persistent to get the date. So if you're not going to be persistent, you're going to miss out on a lot of the hot girls that you can meet up with. So here's an example. So they're talking on Facebook dating. He says something and she hearts the message. He says just a hard reaction, lol, and then she doesn't respond. So here he waits 4 days, right? And says, if you're too shy, I understand. And she doesn't respond. Here he waits literally, I think, like 3 months, and then he follows up with her now you don't have to wait that long. You can follow up within like 2 weeks or something. He was about to delete Facebook dating. You're just my type. It would be a shame if we didn't meet. Shoot me your number so we can grab drinks or forever hold your peace, which is a really nice takeaway you can use on dating apps. And here she responds, you hear somebody there, knock, knock. And here she says something in Spanish. So I'm sorry to speak my crazy English with an accent. I'm embarrassed. Haha, what happens if we don't understand each other? I would die of laughter, right? So here the concern is this, and we're going to get into that later on in the video, is that she's just worried they're not going to be able to communicate, which is pretty reasonable for someone who doesn't speak English well. So here he addresses the concern, more on that later. No worries, I've dated someone with an accent. Our romance is safe. We will understand each other very well. If not, we will laugh anyway. Haha, what's her phone number? She gives the number. Bam, things are back on track. And that only is able to happen because he was persistent. Iron rule number whatever is always confirm the date. Like again, you don't want to just do what AMS says and just show up on the date and hope the girl is there, because what happens when you don't confirm the date, the girl assumes that you're flaking on her, you're not that interested, and she preemptively flakes on you by making other plans, right? So it is incredibly silly to just show up on the date, without confirming at least several times. Also, that could be a massive waste of your time. I always confirm. I confirm the day of, I confirm the night before if the date was set a few days out. Take a look at this example. So here the conversation are talking. And he's like, my weekend was great, celebrated my friend's birthday, how's yours? No response. Says, still good for tonight, yes, so the confirmation. Yep, sorry for the delayed response, this week has been crazy. Saying multiple orgasms is stress relief you need. My address is blah, 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 text me when you're on the way, right? This is important because you want the girl to text you when she's leaving the house, again, asking for more compliance. She's like, okay, sorry, kickball ran 8, I'll have to stop at home, then I'll head over. Still down for me to come over? Yeah. Okay, on my way here. Now, can you imagine what would have happened if he didn't confirm? The girl would have just probably made other plans and stayed home or watched Gossip Girls or whatever it is that girls do when they bail on plans, right? So again, it's very important to confirm the date. And again, like I said, if I set the date, I don't know, maybe like 3-4 days out, I will typically set the girl a playful reminder the night before. I might say something like, pick out a cute outfit for tomorrow yet, or we're excited to meet you, winky face, or something along the lines of that. Day of the date, I get the conversation started, I send her a meme, or hey, how's it going? Once the girl responds, I confirm, still good for tonight, right? So you want to be very diligent with this stuff. One text I like to use, and I will give credit to, I think it was John that told me this one, is when you're texting the girl, what you can do is basically you can say about to hop in the shower, text when on the way. And that's a really good way of like triple confirming. Again, you want to be very, very diligent with this stuff. Next one is learn how to correctly utilize takeaways. This is very, very important. Most guys have no idea what takeaways even are, and if they do, because they watch my videos, they use them incorrectly. Takeaways are literally a secret weapon. They're extremely, extremely powerful way of dealing with non-compliance, ghosting, flaking that you get from girls if done correctly. So let's talk about this. Now I have a whole video on this if you guys want to go more in depth about this. So here I sent this girl a voicemail, which like it's kind of weird doing voice memos, haha. I say, well, I would prefer to talk in real life. She doesn't respond. Wait a few days and I hit her with a takeaway, if you're into that sort of thing. So takeaway, as you guys figure out, is when you're pulling back, right? It's like, okay, you're doing push and then you're doing pull. She says, I am, then let's get together sometime soon, of course, right? So back on track because of the takeaway. Let's take a look at another one. Now, the thing with takeaways, they need to be appropriate for the situation. So if it's the first time the girl has kind of now responded to you and you hit her with a super harsh takeaway, that's gonna come off really butthurt, right? And if this is the fourth or fifth time the girl has flaked on you, hit her with a really mild takeaway, then she's not gonna respond to that. So it has to be appropriate. The severity of the takeaway has to be appropriate for the situation. So here's another one. So she says, that's an interesting title, sex coach, share some tips. Are you struggling in this department? Never. Good, I can always share a few secrets during our date. She doesn't respond. Wait a few days and I hit her with a takeaway. If you're too nervous, I'd understand. Maybe I'm a little bit. What are you doing tonight, right? You can see this is very, very powerful. The girl went from not responding to actually talking about meeting me that same night. Here's another one, right? This is a more mild takeaway, but then you can see how it evolves in a more severe takeaway. So I'm talking to this girl. I'm gonna say, actually, tomorrow just filled up for me. Let's do Friday or Saturday. And this wasn't like some technique. I was legitimately busy. She says, okie dokie, which is kind of a frustrating answer because like, which night? I say, which one? She doesn't respond. I wait a little bit and I say, don't be shy. She says, wait, sorry, my friend's coming to fix my car today. I say, okay, I leave on Wednesday, but how's tomorrow or Monday? And she doesn't respond. So now this is the second takeaway. It's going to be a bit more severe. I say, look, if you aren't into this, just let me know. I can stop trying. And you can see she's like, that's not it. I'm just busy. And bam, things become back on track. And here is, we have even more severe takeaway. So me and this girl are talking about making plans. I'm like, yo, she's like, Ola, what time will be free tonight? Because I think we made loose plans the day before. And she doesn't respond. So I hit her with, well, I tried. She doesn't respond. I wait 3 days and I hit her with a really harsh takeaway, right? Because again, this is me triple texting. I genuinely didn't take you for the flaky type, right? And this is a really, really good one. She says, I'm sorry. Is there a specific reason that you keep disappearing on me? I feel you for one, I'm going through a lot, blah, blah, blah. Here she gives me all her objections. I wind up dealing with them and ultimately getting the date. And I think we have a video on this on the channel. Okay, let's move on to the next iron rule. Learn how to handle objections. Objections are something you're going to get quite often. A lot of the hotter girls always have a few objections because, you know, if they didn't, then they would meet up with the vast majority of guys. So the girls, they're a little bit more conservative. The girls, they're a little, don't use dating apps as much, are typically going to have objections. Even the girls who are like actually really DTF might have a few objections. I have a whole video, 17 most common objections you can get in dating apps. I just want to give you guys the overview. So here's an interesting one. So here I use a takeaway, and you can see how a lot of these concepts kind of merge together because this girl kept disappearing on me. I say, honestly, didn't take you for the flaky type. I'm really not, but I'm not just looking for a hookup. So the objection is here, hey, I don't want to have a one-night stand, which is ironic because she actually wound up having a one-night stand with me, and that was by her choice. And then afterwards, I think she said she got back together with her boyfriend. So that was really interesting. But yeah, I say, and when exactly did I say I was just looking for a hookup? So the best way to get a girl to question her assumption is with a question, right? If I say, oh, well, I'm not looking for a hookup, she's going to be like, of course you're just saying that. But if I say, when did I say that? Now she's going to think, and she's going to come to her own conclusion that, hey, maybe I'm just reading too much into this guy. True, never directly. I guess I assume based on flirty texts and mentioning sex, which I'm not against, but Tinder does have a reputation. Yeah, I do like me some flirty texts, but no, I'm over one-night stands. Always found them a bit unfulfilling. Plus, sex gets even better after you build some chemistry. So here's the reframe, right? I got her to question her assumption, and then I reframed it. Well, I have to agree with that. A little tension makes things more interesting, in my opinion. I'll apologize for assuming too many people looking for just that. And yes, I did wind up getting a date with this girl a few days later, and it was really good. We had a good time together. Okay, let's take a look at another one. This one of Indian peas. So he's like, do you like wine? Yes. Then we shall drink wine on a romantic balcony while my husky entertains us for the evening. That bastard's my husky. And she's like, no, I'm not going to your place on the first date. He says, stranger danger. She says, it's disrespectful. So here again, he does the same technique that I talked about. First, you get her to question her assumptions, and then you do the reframe. How's it disrespectful? You want me to go to your place right away? Would you like to come with me for dinner or a couple of drinks? I don't go to strangers' houses. I'm not a prostitute. So basically, her objection is, if I go to your house, you will think I'm easy, that I'm a slut, whatever, right? So he needs to reframe it. I wasn't trying to disrespect you. I have no issue meeting outside, but tonight, because it's late notice, I do not have mood to go out. I've been working nonstop today, and I asked you to come over. I didn't say anything about sex. How would that make you a prostitute? I find you attractive, but looks alone is not enough for me to have sex with a woman. Chemistry is very important. Chemistry can be found out anywhere: balcony, bar, lounge, hot air balloon. It's always good to throw in a little bit of humor. A walk in the park. It's all the same to me, because it's two people getting to know each other to see if we're compatible. And bam, she says, in which area do you live, Brickle? Maybe I'll come for one glass of wine, text you in 30 minutes. So this is a really epic way to handle an objection, right? And the girl did wind up coming over. Okay, so next iron rule, just focus on passing the shit test. So in addition to objections, what girls will do is sometimes hit you with shit tests. A different way of looking at it is, instead of calling it a shit test, call it a congruence test. The girl wants to see if you're going to be congruent under pressure to the vibe that you're giving off. Now look, if the girl thinks you're a total loser, she's not going to shit test you, because she's already convinced that you're a loser. But if you're kind of acting like a badass alpha guy, she's probably going to shit test you, because she wants to see, are you really that person, right? And with shit tests, the mistake a lot of guys make is they try to escalate on shit tests, or they start explaining themselves. You want to avoid both of those things. You want to just focus on passing the shit test. And typically you do that with either, agreeing and exaggerating, or some type of humor, or basically flipping on the girl. So let's take a look at a few examples. So I opened this girl, hey Trouble. She's like, you call me Trouble, you sex addict. That is a shit test, right? I say, yes, I did. It's kind of like, bam, right? I don't try to escalate. If I had said, yes, I did, do you want to go on a date? It would have been a completely different story. And bam, look at this. She says, that was what I was suspecting. Indeed, one good thing, I can still read proper English. And you will notice every time you pass a shit test, the girl's level of respect for you goes up. Here's another one. This is a little bit of a different one. So she's like, yeah, so stressed, but I'll be good. I'm sure you'll be good. Yeah, daddy should Venmo me, LMAO or not, right? Because he doesn't respond right away, right? And sometimes the best way to pass a shit test is literally not to respond, right? But in this situation, he had no choice because she quadruple texted him. He says, yeah, not that kind of daddy, sorry, right? Again, he doesn't start justifying himself saying, oh, I just don't do that, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't escalate and says, oh, I'm not that kind of guy, but maybe we can meet up for a drink and go from there. It just simply focus on passing the shit test. And look how it works. LMAO, but I need to get a mani-pedi, which is another shit test, which he doesn't respond to. And look at this. What place are hiring bottle service? Because I can do that on my weekends, still getting my life insurance license. So she's double texting. There's plenty of places. Okay, so and then you can see this is back on track. And now this moves towards a meetup. Okay, next iron rule. Reward compliance and punish non-compliance. Another mistake guys commonly make is when the girl's giving them non-compliance, they reward it with their enthusiasm, and when the girl gives them compliance, they punish that with a lack of enthusiasm. And I did videos on this. So here I want to show you examples how to do this correctly. So here is compliance, right? The girl's double texting me. She's trying to move things forward and asking for my number, right? And this is actually the same girl from the previous example about objection. So you can see what happened earlier before she gave me the objection, right? And I want to reward this kind of behavior with my enthusiasm, right? So I say, I run a business, get quite busy, but I enjoy traveling, going to the gym, reading various kinky activities, just missing a little her name in my life. And I say, I like boldness, and I give her my number, right? And I give her a smiley face. So I'm basically literally saying, I like your enthusiasm, I like your investment. And then she doesn't text me, so I wait a few days and I say, don't be shy. Hitting her with a takeaway, and then she texts me, right? So you can see how all this stuff ties together. Here's another one. This is the opposite though. So I'm punishing non-compliance. She says, good morning. I say, hey, how's it going? She says, hey, good. Really frustrating text. Like you can't really build on that. It's like, good. Right? It's like super boring. So you know how I punish that? I don't give her my enthusiasm. I just like the message, right? And that's a very powerful technique in of itself. And you can see a few hours later, she double texts me, you question mark, right? So now she's participating more in the conversation, right? And now I can basically give her a little bit more enthusiasm, right? But what I don't want to do is when she gives me like a 2-word answer is give her a lot of enthusiasm, because that sends the wrong message. Okay, next down rule is don't play it safe. A lot of guys are trying to play it safe because they're living in scarcity. But really what you want to do is be in abundance and like not be afraid to take risks. Now, of course, the risks have to be calculated. I don't mean sending every girl a dick pic, but I just mean like kind of like taking the text that's in the back of your mind, you're like, ooh, I shouldn't send this, and sending it anyway. Because again, girls like a guy who has some balls. Girls like a guy who's not afraid. So take a look at this example of how not playing it safe really worked out for me. So me and this girl already made plans for coffee. This was when I was in Colombia. So here I say, mind if we do 7? I'm running late. I was just about to ask you to reschedule. I've got training, so another time, right? She's about to flake on me. And instead of being like, oh, okay, sure, what time do you want to do? I say, all right, but next time you switch up plans, I might have to spank you a little. And look what happens. Training is canceled. Let's do it later, and you can spank me all you want. I later found out when we went on a date and hooked up that it was that text that got her to meet up with me, because she's like, ooh, I could tell you were going to be a kinky one. I could tell you're going to be a good fuck. I could tell you weren't going to be a super boring guy, which is why I was interested in meeting up with you, right? Again, being ballsy is a good thing as long as it's reasonable to the situation. Next time rule is closing optimally. A lot of guys are really bad at closing. So what I mean by closing is setting up the date. So right, what you don't want to do is just be having a conversation, be like, hey, you want to get drinks tomorrow at 8 p.m., right? That's not closing optimally. What you want to do is you want to first soft close, then figure out her schedule, then hard close. I'm going to show you guys an example so you can see exactly how it's done. So this is a girl I met from Cold Approach, and when I met her, she just finished applying for the job, so I re-engaged her. Did you get the job? Hello, yes, I got it. We'll start tomorrow night. How are you? So here I'm just moving things forward pretty fast. Must have been really lucky kiss then. Oh yeah, because we made out for a little bit. We should celebrate, right? I'm starting now to kind of get the soft close, and the soft close can be multiple texts. I guess your kids was a lucky charm. Your kiss was, I think we should celebrate. Do you like wine, right? I love wine and vodka, and you, I'm Russian, so vodka's in my blood. Let's spill a bottle of wine on my romantic balcony. So here there's 2 soft closes, but that's okay, right? I'm kind of amping it up. The first one is just like a very general, we should hang out. The second one's like, yo, why don't you come over and we split a bottle of wine on my balcony? It's a little bit more intense. I knew that, hon, about the vodka. That sounds very pleasing offer. When would you be able to share wine with me? Now, because she's very invested and because when we met up, she was really invested, I try to go for the same night close. I generally don't recommend you do that unless the girl seems very invested or you just literally have no other time but that night. It's typically better to plan things out a few days ahead of time, right? Because if you go for the same night close, a lot of girls are just going to think like, oh, he just wants a one-night stand. But in certain situations, it can actually be very, very appropriate, like this. And the way I do that is I say, you feeling spontaneous tonight? I'm trying to feel out her schedule. Would love to, but since tomorrow I'll be there working tonight, need to take her at things at home. You should come and visit me. So here she's trying to get me to visit her at work. Fuck that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to instead get her to come over. I say, I understand. Around what time do you finish tomorrow? 3 a.m. Maybe can see you before it start at 10 p.m. I say yes, say 8 p.m. That sounds good to me. But if I can't make it, I'll let you know. Perfect, great. Hola linda, hola guapa. How are you? Good, minus some random neck pain. Good, see you at 8. Oh, that's not good. I'll try my best to be there at 8. If I can't, let you know I'm heading out. Sounds good. Nice, see you later. So again, I'm confirming there. Hi there, I'm getting ready now, so I should be leaving home around 8 p.m. Bam, right? And you can see this, that I closed optimally, right? Again, because I read the situation, this girl was heavily invested, I went for the same night close. If that wasn't the case, I would just say something like, what's your schedule like? After I soft closed, when she gave me her schedule, then I would hard close. And that's really just way more efficient. Just think about it like this, right? If I'm trying to get like another YouTuber for a podcast, what do you think is going to give me a higher chance of response? If I say, yo man, we should do a podcast sometime soon, or yo man, we should do a podcast tomorrow night at 9 p.m. It's way easier for him to agree to the first one, and then you get into positive compliance, right? So if someone agrees to, the first thing, they're going to be more likely to agree to the second thing, more likely to agree to the third thing, right? So you want to have a positive compliance ladder. It's an old school PUA term, but it works. And the last one we have, utilize photos and memes. So there's a saying, a photo is worth 1,000 words, and it's true. I think that you should definitely strategically utilize photos and memes. Here's some examples. So one of the ones I do is a cute photo of my dog, right? So I say, hola Linda, she's like, hi, how are you? I say, good, just hanging out with this guy, right? Again, if I just say good, just hang out with my dog, it would be way less powerful than me actually sending this photo, which shows off my dog, shows off my tattoo, right? Multiple DHVs. She's like, so cute. Is it him, the tattoo, right? So again, you can see she's investing more. Here's me utilizing a meme, right? So this is a pretty good one. So this girl's not really investing much. She's like, hi, I'm like, hey, what's up? She doesn't respond, which to be fair, hey, what's up was not the best text. And then here I sent her one of my favorite memes. Here's a dick pic to brighten your day, and it's a picture of Dick Cheney, former vice president. This is really, really funny. I think it's a really nice play on words. She's like, haha, how are you? Good, just doing a workout, you, right? Bam, things are getting back on track. Let's take a look at a more sexual meme that I sometimes use. So here I say my username, hey, it's Sir Alex Z. Hey, babe, what are you up to? Finished your killer workout, just cooking some carne asada, right? She doesn't respond to that. So wait a few days, I send her one of my favorite sexual memes. So it's basically an elephant choking a chick, and it's like, photographer, don't worry, he won't hurt you. Elephants are actually hurt. Choke me harder, daddy. Photographer, what? Her what? And this is only a meme I will send to a girl that I can tell is like really kinky. Fortunately, like leading up to this conversation, I just got this like, yo, like this chick is kinky as fuck type of vibe. So it worked well. She's like, sent to me, haha, me. I had a feeling I had a bit of wild side. Everybody has a wild side. I'll get the handcuffs ready, make sure they're fuzzy. Don't tell me you got a booty as well. You can say that. And here she sends me a booty pic, right? And another type of photo I will use is actually a shirtless photo. Now, I don't want to just send a shirtless photo out of the blue, right? Just be like, hey, check me out, right? So typically what I'll do is I'll say, hey, how's your day going? She'll say, good. How about you? I'll say, good. Just finished a big workout. And then I'll send her a shirtless selfie, or I might just leave it at that, looking nice and fit for our date. And a lot of girls will be like, ooh, show me. And then I'll send her the photo. Or I might say, she doesn't have a lot of photos, hey, can you send me some photos? And then she sends me photos, and then I will send her a few photos of me. One of them being, just casually being a shirtless selfie, and that will really kind of polarize the conversation and make it more sexual. So these are the 12 iron rules, and if you guys follow these, you're going to be ahead of 99% of men who are texting the girl. All right, hopefully you guys found this detailed breakdown valuable, and the most important iron rule that I haven't mentioned is actually hitting the like button, hitting subscribe, clicking the bell for notification, and sharing this video with a few friends who need it, because on here we're going to be always giving you guys practical, detailed, no BS texting advice that's going to help you get your stuff to the next level. Anyway, also make sure you check out our brand new PWF Clips channel. We're taking all the highlights, all the best parts from debates, internet arguments, podcasts, and all of that, putting them on there so you guys can get the TLDR version for all the long form content that we do. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time.